Hi, I'm the Gamer Lad, and in today's video, I'm breaking down what the Primarchs are, who they are, and where they are. Before we get into depth into who the Primarchs are and where they're found, etc., this is a quick overview of what, who, and where the Primarchs were found. It is not the detailed, super detailed for each one. Each Primarch can easily have their own video that could be like 2-3 parts. So, this is just a quick overview of everything. I just wanted to clarify that before we get too deep into it, because I'm skimming a lot of stuff. There's just a basic understanding about them. What? Question mark. First, we got to start with where it all started, Big E, or the Emperor of Mankind. The Emperor of Mankind, a being of unmatched intelligence, physical and psychic powers, he's existed for millennia, seeing the decay and fragmentation brought upon mankind during the Age of Strife. He sought to bring mankind under one glorious banner, the Imperium of Man. During this time, the Emperor was preparing for the Great Crusade, and at the head of it was 20 genetically engineered demigod sons, or the Primarchs. Each Primarch was larger, faster, and more intelligent than any human could hope to be. Now that we know what the Primarchs are, who are the Primarchs? The list of Primarchs goes as follows: Horus, or Horus Lupercal, Leman Russ, Ferrus Manus, Fulgrim, Vulcan, Rogel Dorn, Rabute Gilliman, Magnus the Red, Sanguinius, Lionel Johnson, Perturabo, Mortarion, Lorgar, Jagadai Khan, Conrad Kurz, Angron, Corvus Corax, and Alfarius / Omegon. Quick side note before I continue, if you didn't notice, that's not 20, that's only 18. And that's because 2 of the Primarchs, the 2nd and the 11th of the Primarchs, were completely wiped from Imperial records. Their names, legions, and fates have been erased. No one knows what happened to them, besides the Primarchs. But the original count of 20 legions is still remembered. That's also why on any video that mentions that there's 20, you'll have someone comment and go, actually, there's only 18. Ha ha ha, heresy. But there originally was 20. To increase your level of Warhammer lore confusion, you may have noticed I said Alfarius / Omegon. So, Alfarius Omegon is a set of twins. So, there's 21, or if you're going off of the 18, there's actually 19 Primarchs. And then next of all, they are the same person, technically, but also not. So, they're both Alpha Legion Primarchs. We're just leaving it at that. They make one, because they are like half a Primarch. I don't know, this shit confuses me too. Anyways, back to it. The Primarchs were designed to be perfect generals and warriors, each embodying an aspect of war or any specific role the Emperor saw fit. Leman Russ, the Wolf King, represented savage ferocity, while Rogel Dorn personified unyielding defense and works of architectural art. Fulgrim exemplified the pursuit of perfection, while Magnus the Red was the master of psychic powers. The Emperor's grand vision of the Imperium was shattered when the Chaos Gods intervened, casting the 20 Primarchs across the warp. Each was scattered to a different world, some harsh and brutal, others peaceful and prosperous. The environments they landed in shaped their personalities, often leaving scars both physically and emotionally. Some say it was at this point that the Chaos Gods began their insidious influence on the Emperor's sons, planting the seeds of betrayal that would culminate into Horus doing a heresy. Now, where were the Primarchs found? Side note, we're going to talk about some planet classification that Imperium uses. So to go over them real quick, there is Dead World. It is completely void of any life forms. A Death World. A Death World is a world that the Imperium finds too dangerous to support human life, yet they still fucking live there, like Catachan. Continuing, a Feral World. Feral World is a human-settled planet whose population is composed of nomadic hunters, gatherers, or members of early agricultural societies. So like our ancient times, because that still happens. There's Feudal Worlds. A Feudal World is a planet in which the Imperium has not seen fit to introduce the most advanced technology. Got it? Dead World, everything's dead. Death World, everything wants to kill you. Feral World, hunter-gatherer times. Feudal World, just don't have the most advanced tech. Continuing, Lionel Johnson of the Dark Angels was found on Caliban. Caliban is classified as a death world by the Imperium. It is a planet with incredibly hostile environments, teeming with dangerous, mutated creatures that make survival extremely difficult for any life form, including humans, due to a combination of harsh climate, deadly flora and fauna, and warped genetic influences that created the monstrous beasts within the ecosystem. So, it's a very dangerous place. Fulgrim, of the Emperor's Children, was found on Chemos. Chemos was classified as a mining world, but it is now classified as a dead world due to the resource depletion. Once rich in minerals, it could no longer sustain its population, which suffered from extreme poverty and a lack of food. The planet's surface was harsh and barren with polluted air and toxic landscapes. Perturabo of the Iron Warriors was found on Olympia. Olympia was once a rugged, mountainous world whose population was characterized by a culture of city-states before it was destroyed following the heresy, leaving it to become a dead world. Next, Jagatai Khan of the White Scars was discovered on Mundus Planus, also known as Chogoris. Mundus Planus is a harsh, windswept, and expansive world. Essentially, it's a barren, desert-like planet with extreme conditions, ideal for breeding hardy and aggressive warriors. Next, Leman Russ of the Space Wolves was found on Fenris. Fenris is a death world, and it is among the very worst of them. It is a world of fire and ice, of wolves and dragons. It's just like Game of Thrones, but space. It is one of the most inhospitable planets in the galaxy. Yet, the folk of Fenris not only endure, but thrive. They're very Viking-like. Rogel Dorn of the Imperial Fist was found on Inuit. Inuit was, and is, a world of death and ice. Its star is old and withered, bleeding the last of its heat as a cold, red light, tidally locked against its dying star, leaving one side of the planet in perpetual darkness, and freezing cold temperatures and faded sunlight on the other. Conrad Kurz of the Night Lords was found on Nostromo. Nostromo was a bleak, hive world that was perpetually dark due to its pollution-clogged atmosphere, and the fact that it circled a slowly dying star whose light was unable to penetrate the haze. Also, it was like crime center. It made Gotham look like stand-up citizens. Sanguinius of the Blood Angels was found on Bal Secundus, which is a moon of the planet Bal. Bal itself is a dry, dusty desert world scarcely inhabited by anyone other than mutants and feral animals. However, its two moons, Bal Prime and Bal Secundus, support notable human settlements and were once paradises for mortal men. They are now classified as savage feral worlds by the Imperium. Ferris Manus of the Iron Hands, Medusa. Ferris Manus was found on the planet of Medusa. Medusa is a harsh realm of perpetual gloom, situated precariously close to the Eye of Terra and the Segmentum Obscurus. The sun almost never breaks through the dark and polluted sky as it constantly turns over a land of frozen mountain ranges, interspread with volcanoes and boiling hot geysers. Great place for your summer vacation. Angron, World Eaters, Nuceria. Angron of the World Eaters was found on the planet of Nuceria. Nuceria was a brutal, unforgiving world run by cruel slave masters from the city of Deshea, that forced their subjects to battle in gladiatorial arenas. They also implanted some of these gladiators with the aggression-enhancing technology known as the Butcher's Nails. Technology known as the Butcher's Nails was a key part of this process. It is now a dead world and has been wiped clean of all life. Robo Girly Man, Big Titty Elf Lover. Rubute Gilliman of the Ultramarines was found on the planet of Macragge. Macragge is an imperial civilized world located in the southern reaches of the eastern fringe of the galaxy in the Ultima Segmentum. 3/4 of the world is covered in vast mountain ranges that are mostly uninhabitable, leaving most of the planet to live in the low land regions. Also, just think of like Rome, it's very Roman inspired. Mortarion of the Death Guard was found on the planet of Barbarus. Barbarus was a feral world which orbited near its dim yellow sun. The atmosphere was thick with virulent gases and a constant fog was spread across the planet. This made it a very dark and dismal place of night with short shadowy days, and only below the fog of the valleys and low plains were the humans able to survive, led by their masters in the high spires, and if I'm correct, Nurgle followers. Magnus the Red, Thousand Sons Prospero. Magnus the Red of the Thousand Sons was found on the planet of Prospero. Prospero was a desolate, dark planet and was chosen by its inhabitants because of its distance from Terra. Mutants and psychers live in reclusion and study, and Magnus fit in well with the group due to his incredibly psychic potential. Horus Lupercal of the Luna Wolves was found on the planet of Synthonia. Synthonia was the barren and impoverished imperial feral world and a former mining world. It's described as a rocky, volcanic world, with little to no resources as the planet has been mined on since the dawn of space travel, since it's within a distance to Earth that doesn't require warp travel. Logar of the Word Bearers was found on the planet of, please forgive my pronunciation because I have no clue how to spell this, of Colchis, of Coloshes? Coloshes is classified as a feudal world by the Imperium. It's a massive world 3 times larger than Terra, meaning it has extremely long days and nights. A full day is about 170 hours, or 7 Earth days. Mountains and deserts dominated the dry land of Colchis, and civilization clustered along coastlines, relying on the water and air travel between settlements. Very religious as well. Vulcan of the Salamanders was found on the planet Nocturne. Nocturne is usually classified by the Imperium as a feudal world and a death world. Once every 15 Terran years, or 1 Nocturnian year, Nocturne and its very large moon Prometheus come together so closely that Nocturne is almost torn to pieces by the resulting gravitic tidal stresses. This is called the time of trial by the Nocturnian people. There are vast chains of volcanoes scattered across the planet's surface and frequent earthquakes, destroying what little the Nocturnian people have built above ground and forcing them to build their habitations in vast subterranean holds. The constant volcanic eruptions have swaddled the world in an ever-present cloak of dust and ash that obscures most of the sunlight at the surface. They also have giant fucking fire lizards. Corvus Corax of the Raven Guard was found on the planet of Deliverance. Deliverance, once called Lycasis, is a moon that orbits the high world Kiavara. The moon is barren and airless. Originally, the moon was populated by the exiles of Kavar, who lived in crude forest domes that protected them from the vacuum of space. These exiles were forced to work in massive mine works under the watchful eyes of the overseers from the world below. Side note before I get into Alpharius Omegon, Alpharius and Omegon is the most confused I've been with Warhammer lore, so forgive me if I forget to mention your favorite part about the Alpha Legion. Alpharius and Omegon of the Alpha Legion. There's no straight answer here, so typical to the Alpha Legion, Alpharius and Omegon is one of the more confusing ones. Alpharius claims to have been found on Terra and that he was the first found Primarch, while the traditional account states that Horus was the first of the Primarchs to be found. I'm leaving it at that. It's way too complex because Omegon was found elsewhere. It gets so confusing. The Traitor Primarchs. 6 of them now reign as demon princes, while 2 are dead. The traitor list is as follows. Angron, Primarch of the World Eaters, ascended to become a demon prince of Khorne, his body a vessel of endless rage and slaughter. Also, and this is in the Arcs of Omen the book, he just wanted to die. At this point, he just wants peace, and he briefly died after causing the murder curse and was about to be reborn. And instead of doing it instant, 1.5 seconds, okay, you're reborn, Khorne was like, you did really good. You can have a brief moment of peace, no rage or nothing, and then stole it, of course, from him. But that's all he wants at this point, if he can think at all. The few moments he can. Fulgrim, Snake Sex Man, Primarch of the Emperor's Children, was elevated to Demon Prince of Slaanesh, embodying excess and the pursuit of perfection. If he wasn't causing issues, then he's currently on a pleasure world, just doing his own thing. But if I'm correct, there has been reports of a snake-like being, very Fulgrim-like, doing some nonsense and shenanigans not very far where Mortarion was doing stuff. Magnus the Red, Primarch of the Thousand Suns, became a Demon Prince of Tzeentch, a lord of sorcery and change. He was broken into shards and then was put back together, but is still missing one of the shards. And the Grey Knights have it, and the shard missing is his nobility/noble side, so he's also trying to find that, and if he does, he will actually be the strongest Psyker ever, minus the Emperor. Mortarion, Primarch of the Death Guard, was transformed into a Demon Prince of Nurgle, spreading disease and decay across the stars. But more recently, he was in the Dark Imperium novels, trying to kill Guilliman, help create the Godblight disease. Technically, Guilliman died, Emperor resurrected him, and then there's a portal because Mortarion was ignoring Nurgle when he was getting summoned back to go do other stuff. Lorgar, the Primarch of the Wordbearers, became a Demon Prince and continues his crusade to convert the galaxy to the worship of chaos. Although currently, he's more like, you guys go do a crusade, I'm gonna sit and meditate in my tower, while Corvus Corax, the Birdman, who, to be honest, probably looks like one of the birds from Elden Ring at the Scarlet Rot, but cleaner, is currently just prowling around come outside. Perturabo, Primarch of the Iron Warriors, is elevated to a Demon Prince, and is still obsessed with siegecraft and destruction on a monumental scale. And also, he's obsessed with perfection and is currently trying to perfect himself, and that's why the photos of him make him look like a lot of armor. He's basically turning into a giant knight / small titan weapon of war, just like a living siege weapon. The 2 traitor Primarchs who are confirmed dead are Horus, Primarch of the Luna Wolves, who was killed by the Emperor himself during the final battle of the Horus Heresy. He is the one who did a heresy. And I want to add a quick note to that as well. There was a perfect made clone of him, but when Emperor killed Horus, Horus's soul was shattered. There is no soul left. It was burnt away. But the perfect clone of him, I'm guessing it was just a new soul or something, but it was a perfect clone of Horus. And then Abaddon killed it and took all of the stuff and became the new War Master. But that's another thing. The next one that's confirmed dead is Conrad Kurz, Primarch of the Night Lords, who was assassinated. Though it was believed he allowed his death, believing it was his fate ended. Conrad Kurz was always seeing the worst visions, while Sanguinius usually saw better ones or potentials. Conrad always saw the worst and always thought it was guaranteed the worst and basically accepted his fate, and it was whatever. And so when he saw an assassin kill him, instead, he could have probably killed that assassin. But instead, he basically was like, haha, I'm right, hurry up and do it, and just let himself die, because he wanted to be right. There was times where Sanguinius basically was even going to say, you could be wrong, this is a potential future, but he needed to be right too, so would allow it. Conrad Kurz is really sad, and really fucked up too. And it is not confirmed, but Alpharius Omegon, Alpha Legion. Okay, this is gonna get confusing. They need their own video with a diagram explaining everything, so Quick explanation, there are times Alpharius and Omegon did switcheroo, so you don't know who was who. Because they're twins and technically half of a full Primarch, they were almost the size of normal Space Marines. And their Space Marines would get plastic surgery to look like them, and they all say I'm Alpharius. I'm getting a headache. In short, what is believed, the twin Primarchs, masters of deception and espionage. Alpharius was reportedly killed by Rogal Dorn. And now, are you ready for it to get confusing? Alpharius swapped places with Omegon, so Omegon became Alpharius, and Alpharius became Omegon. So when Alpharius was killed, it was likely that it was actually Omegon, but it could have been Alpharius, but it was probably Omegon, but it was actually Omegon that died, and Alpharius lives on as Omegon. If you don't understand, that's okay, because honestly, I don't fully get it either. I don't even know if they're a traitor or not anymore, because they'll do shit that looks bad, but then ends up being good for the Imperium. They'll block all communications, but let Rogal Dorn sneak out. There's a theory that there's 3 Primarchs, because, I mean, technically they were 1 Primarch, and then there's 2 more, so does that mean they're going to die, and then that there's like a Primaris version? Okay, I'm done. Of the Loyalist Primarchs, only 2 remain active today, while the rest are either dead or missing. The fate of each Loyalist Primarch is as follows. Corvus Corax, Primarch of the Raven Guard, went to hunt down the remaining traitor Primarchs within the Eye of Terror, specifically Lorgar, and Lorgar just chilling on there, and he is a mutant bird. Ferrus Manus, Primarch of the Iron Hands, was killed by his brother Fulgrim. Jagatai Khan, Primarch of the White Scars, vanished into the Webway. I bet either Eldar or Drukhari have him. Leman Russ, Primarch of the Space Wolves, disappeared in search of the fabled battle at the end of time. Rogal Dorn, Primarch of the Imperial Fist, died during a Black Crusade, but his body was never recovered. Sanguinius, Primarch of the Blood Angels, was slain by Horus during the Siege of Terra. And just to clarify, it wasn't just a quick stab, it was a brutal death. When the Emperor saw Sanguinius' body, it was one of the reasons that he was set into an absolute fucking rage. Vulcan, Primarch of the Salamanders, disappeared, though rumors persist that he may still live. And to add on to that specifically, it is believed by the Salamander chapter that if they find all of his artifacts, or the artifacts of Vulcan, that Vulcan will return. Vulcan has technically died a few times. He is perpetual like the Emperor, meaning if he dies, he will keep coming back. The 2 remaining active Primarchs are Rabute Gilliman, Primarch of the Ultramarines, and Lionel Johnson, Primarch of the Dark Angels. Gilman was placed in stasis at the moment of his near death, but thanks to the efforts of Yvraine, his big titty elf girlfriend, and Belisarius Cawl, he has been resurrected and now leads the Imperium in the Indominus Crusade. Lionel Johnson, who had been hidden away within the Dark Angels Fortress Monastery, the Rock, has also recently awakened. He now commands his legion once more, leading them into battle in the current age of the Imperium. They also don't know that each other are awake. One's on one side of the Cicatrix Maledictum, one is the other. Now, I know I just covered a bunch of information, but trust me, we've barely scratched the surface. There's so much individual lore for all these Primarchs, and this video would be like 20 hours long if we did them all. But for now, I think this is plenty and gives a very good basic understanding. And honestly, each one of these Primarchs deserve their own video because there's so much about them. Alpharius might be like 9 videos before we figure out if it actually is Alpharius or if Omegon just took a shit on her. I'm Alpharius, Hydra Dominatus. Before ending, I just really want to say, holy fuck, thank you guys so much. While recording this, so before this, the last video absolutely went crazy on the Halo devices. It currently has, I'm actually just going to check live as I record this, 6.8K views. And it gave a lot of subscribers from that. We were like at 300 when that video went live. We're currently at, oh my god, we just went up more, 538. Holy shit, did we jump up. Thank you so much for everyone who has joined in and has been supportive, leaving great comments. I've been loving the interaction and feedback, and thank you so much for the support. It's really appreciated. I'm excited to see what this channel becomes. I hope you enjoyed the video, and feel free to check out other ones. Have a great day.